The you knew was in you.
Stick it to Zits. Mighty Patch Pimple Patches absorb gunk in 6 to 8 hours. Pimple, meet your Mighty Patch.
And tells you a story about the world that feels real. What's going on and who's really in control of your life? The gap between reality and you. Vision is maybe our main source of information about the world, but in reality we don't really see that much. Only a thumbnail-sized area of your visual field is in high resolution, while the rest is out of focus. If it doesn't feel like this, that's because it's made up by your brain, using a pretty neat trick. Each second your eyes make 3 to 4 sudden jerky movements, saccades of 50 milliseconds, focusing from one point to another, scanning your environment to get different sharp images that your brain then edits together. During a saccade, your brain shuts down your vision so you don't see a wild motion blur. This means that each day for around 2 hours, you're completely blind. If you could actually see what your eyes see, it would look something like this. Brrr, brrr. Instead, your brain fills this time with its best guesses of what happened during the blackness. But it does way more. It turns out that you're not really experiencing time correctly. What's really happening when you're stirring milk into a cup of coffee? As the spoon hits the ceramic, light reflects off it and hits your eyes after 1.3 nanoseconds. The ceramic vibrates and creates a shockwave of air molecules that travels to your ear in 1.2 milliseconds. Heat is picked up by fibers in your fingers that send a signal to your brain in 50 milliseconds. 3 very different inputs, all processed in your brain at different times. You don't experience them separately, but as one smooth, simultaneous and connected moment. Your brain takes a moment to process and then invents a reality, a present moment that's not real. What you feel is now is in fact a selectively edited version of the past. You really only consciously experience the world 0.3 to 0.5 seconds after things happened. Except this is also not really true, because your brain is editing time and space way more than that, and it makes decisions completely out of your conscious control. You're living in the past. No. Future. No. A made-up future. Your present, what you experience right now, is kind of the future. Imagine for a second that you're a table tennis pro. In pro table tennis, balls whoosh around at 25 meters per second, which is pretty fast, so let's slow down time. Light passes from the ball to your eye in nanoseconds, is converted into electrical impulses that reach your brain to be processed after 100 milliseconds. Meanwhile, the ball travels 2.5 meters through the air, the length of the table. If your brain showed you the past, where the ball was 100 milliseconds ago, it would hit you before you could react. So instead, your brain takes its location, speed and direction and calculates where the ball should be in the future by the time the information reaches you, and then it creates a fictional version of it. This is what you see in your fake present, a fake ball that's somewhere else. But you don't need to just see the ball, you want to smash it back hard. If you acted now and started swinging your arm, you'd miss by a mile. Things are just too fast. So before the ball even touches your opponent's bat, your brain starts predicting where it will likely be in space after they hit, based on the other player's posture and your table tennis experience. But as it can't be sure if it will be correct, it prepares multiple different responses. Maybe the ball will be here, or even here. To be ready for all of these scenarios, your brain sends pre-programmed orders to the muscles you need to jump left, right or up, telling them to be ready for any of them at a moment's notice. For a short moment, multiple ghost versions of you exist, all equally real inside your brain. And then as your opponent is about to lay into the swing, your brain decides on a single future that it thinks is most likely. All but one of the ghosts are deleted. You only ever experience the ghosts that won, never the potential ones. The order to the muscles to act out the winning movement is triggered even before the ball is hit back to you. You are totally oblivious to this. By the time you consciously see the ball coming at you and decide to hit it in a particular way, your body has already hit it back. In reality, your brain already made all the decisions. Your conscious experience is nothing more than an invented future, a prediction based on the information your brain received a fraction of a second ago. This is not just true for extreme sports like table tennis, but also for walking. Walking is time travel. After your game, you're walking back home, seemingly choosing your path and reacting to things. Meanwhile, your brain is operating in 3 different time spheres at once. It processes the sensory feedback of the past, it calculates the current state of your body, and it predicts your future. Because walking is intense. Before the signal from your foot touching the ground has even reached the brain, it's already sent the order to your foot to make the next step, and it's already calculated the muscle patterns for the next 2. But what if something truly catastrophic happens? There's a banana peel, and you step on it and slip. How did it get here? Listen, don't worry about it. It turns out your brain is ready for this. So far, we spoke of your brain making decisions for you, but this is not really true. You don't have a central control room where the world comes together. In reality, different parts of your body are aware of different things at different times. Your spinal cord usually knows stuff before your brain. And even within your brain, different regions process the same event at different speeds and make independent decisions. As your foot catches the peel, the gyroscope inside your ears notices a sudden change of your position in space. It submits this information to your brainstem and spinal cord, the "things must happen quickly" section of your body. They immediately trigger emergency recovery patterns and send orders to different muscle groups. Within 200 milliseconds, pre-programmed sequences activate to catch your fall. Your arms shoot out, your other leg stiffens to support your weight, your core muscles contract to stabilize you. 100 milliseconds later, when you become aware that you're tripping, your body is already recovering. You are only just now catching up. Okay, so we've learned that your brain is constantly predicting reality around you, makes decisions about the best way to act, and then shows you an edited version, which totally makes sense. Would you really want to be in charge of all that? But your brain is not just predicting the external world. Right now, it's predicting a way more complex thing: you. Are you just a prediction of your brain? Why do you feel about the world the way you do? Your sense of hunger, your energy level, and especially your emotions are not just objective reactions to what state you're in, but predictions. Your brain's prediction of what you'll need soon or need to be ready for. You're probably used to getting food or going to bed roughly around the same time, and as the time approaches, your brain releases hormones to prepare you. A self-fulfilling prophecy. You get hungry or tired because your brain assumes this is the time when this is needed. This is the most striking thing about your emotions. They aren't just reactions to the outside world, they're predictions. When you go to a party, your brain isn't waiting to see how you feel once you get there based on how the party actually is. It analyzes your experiences of past parties and who it expects to be there. Maybe close friends you feel safe around. Maybe people you don't know who are a less socially secure bet. Maybe your brain remembers a party where you felt anxious and that experience stuck. This can be pretty annoying. If your brain predicts anxiousness, it adjusts your heart rate, hormone levels, and muscle tensions before you even enter the room. It prepares your body for anxiety, making you actually feel anxious, which then confirms the brain's prediction and gets saved for future reference. Does this make you feel like you're just along for the ride, forced to experience whatever predictions your brain feeds you? Thankfully, it's not quite like that. Your conscious self is obviously not the decider of most things as you go through your day. But that is not what it's good at anyway. Your brain and all of these different organ systems decide a lot of things, but they're more like butlers taking care of all the busy work. You may not be in the driver's seat, but you are the passenger that decides where to go. What your conscious self is good at is long-term planning and abstract thinking. It's a storyteller that tells the story of your life to your brain and to yourself, wherever the edges of these overlapping entities melt into each other. You are able to see the big picture that your internal prediction machine could never begin to grasp. You are the part of you that can edit and write new predictions into the system. Sometimes you and your brain disagree on what's correct, but in the end, you are the person in power who tells the story about who you are in this world. A story so convincing that you experience it as undeniable reality. And as a happy accident, your conscious self is great at being happy about ice cream, fascinated by internet videos, and thinking deeply about Pokemon types.
We know you love the thought of sitting in a Parisian cafe.
Or exploring the beautiful city of Rome.
Or enjoying the vibe and excitement of the streets of London. 3 of the most beautiful and most visited cities in Europe.
But if you look a little further, to a place that everyone talks about, a place that has everything.
And we're nothing. Nothing is impossible. This is Dubai. A little further than Europe, I'll give you that. But when you're flying Emirates,
What if you could train your brain to be more than just a regular butler? Transforming it into a lean, mean, problem-solving machine with supercharged critical thinking skills and next-level intuition to help make your reality even more interesting and fun. Thanks to our friends at Brilliant, you can. Brilliant helps you get smarter every day with thousands of bite-sized interactive lessons on just about anything you may be curious about. Explore the big ideas powering technology like AI or learn the fundamentals of programming. Delve into the physics behind everything from a game of pool to black holes. Understand core concepts in maths, logic, data analysis, and beyond. On Brilliant, you'll learn through discovery by trying things yourself. You'll not only get hands-on with key concepts, you'll learn to apply them in the real world, giving extra fuel to your consciousness journey. The best part of Brilliant is that there's always something new to spark your imagination, with new lessons added every month. Want a shockingly fun way to learn the physics of electricity? Plug into their latest course on circuits. Or want to learn how language models like ChatGPT choose their next words? Their latest course on generative AI will help boost your human intelligence. Whatever you choose to learn on Brilliant, it only takes a few minutes each day to change your reality, helping you see the world in new ways, build powerful problem-solving skills, and end every day a little smarter. To explore everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/nutshell or click on the link in the description.
Here's an early look at the iPhone 17, which is going to be Apple's biggest update in years, 2024. Early look at the iPhone 17, which is going to be Apple's biggest update in years, as they're planning to make it their thinnest iPhone ever. On the front, it'll have a large 6.6-inch display with 120Hz ProMotion for Apple's best display yet that is also less reflective and more scratch resistant. And Dynamic Island could finally be getting smaller, with Apple placing the Face ID module under the screen and also adding a new 24-megapixel front camera. However, on the back, you're only going to be getting a single camera system for the first time since the iPhone XR, as with the design being so thin, it just wasn't possible for Apple to add more. On the inside, it'll be powered by Apple's newest A19 chip that supports the latest Apple Intelligence AI features, but the company is also going to be making the Wi-Fi and 5G chips for the first time too. But with so much changing, there's also said to be a price increase, with the iPhone 17 Air starting around $1,300 and releasing in September of 2025. Here's an early look at the iPhone 17, which is going here.
I love you, Finger.
The closest object to your right is gonna make you famous.
Hold me tight, let me go. In my heart and my soul. Never ever know your soul. Never know your
Drake. A minor. Drake. Drake.
Hey.
What?
I think you have some. Hey.
What?
I think you. Hey.
What?
I think you have something on your tongue. Show it to me. I can't possibly look that fast. You gotta keep your mouth open.
Bleh.
Stop. I'm being serious. This could be dangerous.
See it?
No. Just stop.
Bleh.
Hey.
What?
On your tongue. Show it to me. I can't possibly look.
Everyone knows.
Count to 21. It looks like you're rapping. Count to 20. Count to 21. It looks like you're rapping it.
I was walking in the rain with my Tim's on, stepping over puddles full of pain. It's a big storm. 13 on my ball mains. It's a
Count to 21. It looks like you're rapping.
I was walking in the rain with my Tim's on, stepping over puddles full of pain. It's a big storm. 13 on my ball mains.
Count to 21. It looks like you're rapping it.
I was walking in the.
Alabama, you really dumb enough to think I'd. Alabama. You really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb dirty hoe. I wouldn't tell you what color socks I got on. Alabama, you really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb dirty hoe. I wouldn't tell you what color socks I got on. Alabama, you really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb dirty.
Why do people think there's something wrong with you? Why do people think? Why do people think there's something wrong with you?
I just tell the truth. And telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies.
Why do people think there's something wrong with you?
I just tell the truth. And telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies.
Why do people think there's something wrong with you?
I just tell the truth. And telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies.
Why do people think there's something wrong with you?
I just tell the truth. And telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies.
Why do people think there's something wrong with you?
I just tell the truth. And telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies.
Why do people think there's something wrong with you?
I just tell the truth. And I just tell the truth.
What if your everyday money could grow?
I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother.
What am I? A roach?
I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother.
This man believes that his slipper is the strongest slipper in the world. According to
this one mistake could be destroying this. This one mistake could be destroying your YouTube views, so just stop doing it. When you upload a video, whether it be on your phone or computer, make sure you change this setting to private. You do not want your video to go public as soon as it's uploaded to YouTube for a number of reasons. First of all, you need time to prepare it, write a title, description, upload a thumbnail. And I always recommend watching through and timestamping the video as a last check for any errors in the video. Videos also need time to process first into HD and then 4K. At the same time, the video will be checked for any copyright claims and to make sure it follows all of the advertiser-friendly guidelines. Typically, I recommend giving yourself 2 hours minimum to prepare the video. In an ideal world, you should upload it and then schedule it to go public the following day. However, there is an exception to all this. If your video is very time sensitive, ignore everything I've just said and get it out ASAP. to prepare it. Write a title, description, upload a thumbnail. And I always recommend watching through and timestamping the video as a last check for any errors in the video. Videos also need time to process, first into HD and then 4K. At the same time, the video will be checked for any copyright claims and to make sure it follows all of the advertiser-friendly guidelines. Typically, I recommend giving yourself 2 hours minimum to prepare the video. In an ideal world, you should upload it and then schedule it to go public the following day. However, there is an exception to all this. If your video is very time sensitive, ignore everything I've just said and get it out ASAP. This one mistake could be destroying your YouTube views, so just stop doing it. When you upload a video, whether it be on your phone or computer, make sure you change this setting to private. You do not want your video to go
You really dumb enough to think I'd. You really dumb enough. You really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb dirty hoe. I wouldn't tell you what color socks I got on. You really dumb enough. Tell you any.
I just burn my hand. I just burn my hand cooking with Kaya. And she cut me off cause I'm a liar. I'ma cut the cake like Michael Myers. Peeled off and you heard the tires. Get loose to the beat. I just burn my
How much is the weight?
You really dumb enough to think I'd. You really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb dirty hoe. I wouldn't tell you what color socks I got on. You really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb dirty hoe. I wouldn't tell you what color socks I got on. You really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb dirty hoe. I wouldn't tell you what color socks I got on. You anything, you dumb.
I just burn my hand cooking with Kaya. I just burn my hand cooking with Kaya. And she cut me off cause I'm a liar. I'ma cut the cake like Michael Myers. Peeled off and you heard the tires. Get loose to the beat. I'ma cut the cake like Michael Myers. Peeled off and you heard the tires. I just burned my hand cooking with Kaya. And she cut me off cause I'm a liar. I'ma cut the cake like Michael Myers. Yeah. And she cut me off.
I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody. I don't feel nobody. I don't call nobody but you. My one and only. تملي حبيبي بشتاق.
Are my 5 morning alarms?
All you do is all you do. All you do is get on to me about my mistakes and where I've been. I just needed some space so I'll feel free. You don't understand cause you're not me. All you do.
que vai te dar 7, o bagulho tem que ser assim. Que vai te dar 7. Que vai te dar 7, o bagulho tem que ser assim. De bagulho, de bagulho, de bagulho, de bagulho, de bagulho, de bagulho, de bagulho. De bagulho, de bagulho, de bagulho. Que vai te dar 7, o bagulho tem que ser assim. De bagulho, de bagulho, de bagulho, de bagulho, de bagulho, de bagulho, de bagulho.
This is your brain when you're.
At least she treats me like I'm somebody.
Yeah,
At least she treats me like I'm somebody.
Yeah, but would she love you if you were nobody?
Nobody loved me when I was nobody.
I did.
At least she treats me like I'm somebody.
Yeah, but would she love you if you were nobody?
Nobody loved me when I was nobody.
I did. Before the money. And before the fame. Before the lie.
At least she treats me like I'm somebody.
Yeah, but would she love you?
At least she treats me like I'm somebody.
Yeah, but would she love you if you were nobody?
Nobody loved me when I was nobody.
I did. Before the money. And before the fame. Before the lie.
At least she treats me like I'm somebody.
Yeah, but would she love you if you were nobody?
Nobody loved me when I was nobody.
I did. Before the money. And before the fame. Before. She love you if you.
Y ese cuerpito que tú tienes. Y ese... Y ese cuerpito que tú tienes, el traje de baño chiquitito te queda. Esa blanquita con el sol y de una ya se pone morena. Y ese cuerpito que tú tienes, el traje de baño chiquitito te queda. Esa blanquita con el sol y de una ya se pone morena. Y ese cuerpito que traje de baño chiquitito te...
Okay.
Middle finger to my.
How are you guys?
Middle finger. Middle finger to my haters, are you bitch jealous? Fuck yeah. Been knew I was that bitch, I didn't need a man to tell me. The fuck? Crop tops in the. Middle finger to my haters, are you bitch jealous? Fuck yeah. Been knew I was that bitch, I didn't need a man to tell me. The fuck? My haters, are you bitch?
Hey, how come you keep posting stuff even when everyone's... Hey, how come... Hey, how come you keep posting stuff even when everyone's ignoring you?
If my videos get 5 likes, that means I made 5 folks happy. That's all the motivation I need to keep on sharing my nonsense. But you know what? I ain't leaving this platform.
even when everyone's ignoring you.
If my videos get 5 likes, that means I made 5 folks happy. That's all the motivation I need to keep on sharing my nonsense. But you know what? I ain't leaving this platform.
Hey, how come you keep posting stuff even when everyone's ignoring you?
If my videos get 5 likes,
Ignoring you.
if my videos get 5 likes,
let's do another team.
I don't pay no small fix. Beat the bitches all pretty and we all learn booty short. I don't pay. I don't pay no small fix. Beat the bitches all pretty and we all learn booty short. Cause my paper long. It's a Friday night. My nigga ain't at home. I pull my bitch shots. Cause I don't drink alone. I'm outside again. Cause bitch, I hate it home. It's giving her face, ass, titty, her face, ass, titty. It's giving her face, ass, titty, her face, ass, titty. SEXYY. Cause my paper long. It's a Friday night. My nigga ain't at home. I pull my bitch shots. Cause I don't drink alone. I'm outside again. Cause bitch, I hate it home. It's giving her face, ass, titty, her face, ass, titty. It's giving her face, ass, titty, her. Cause my paper long. It's a Friday.
You know what's crazy? to me, 90% of the people who are seeing this video are just gonna scroll on by and not realize that they had the chance to find a famous rapper before he's famous. But I'm not worried about that 90%. I'm worried about that 10% who's... You know what?
Lying, cheating, dope and leaving. I am me, girl, I'm seeing. Flatter me and then I'm beating. Eat my semen like some Reese's.
Why would shit sound like that?
Motion meeting, Georgia Peaches. Leave you leaking, don't do meetings. Hide to see with all my demons. Oh, I need it, I've been. What about love? What about ecstasy? Lying, cheating, dope and leaving. I am me, girl, I'm seeing. Flatter me and then I'm beating. Eat my semen like some Reese's.
Why would shit sound like that?
Motion meeting, Georgia Peaches.
Submission comes naturally. Submission Submission comes naturally. When you love your wife right, now you could tire for submission. It's a natural thing. You cannot force submission. It is not meant to be forced. So anytime you feel like you should be lord over your wife and force her to submit to you, just know that you're a very bad person. Some of you are very quiet. You look responsible. If person see you now, you could see you know if you kill fly. But you are very toxic and abusive to your wife. Some of your wife, they have endured abuses over the years and they are tired. Their head is about to explode. And you cannot just set out one day and say, why am I like this? Is my wife happy with me? Is my children happy with me? You are just living your life like that. And years are going. These children are growing. abuses over the years and they are tired. Their head is about to explode with me. Is my children happy with me? You are just living your life like that. And years are going, these children are growing. Submission comes naturally. When you love your wife right, now you could tire for submission. It's a natural thing. You cannot force submission. It is not meant to be forced. So anytime you feel like you should be lord over your wife and force her to submit to you, just know that you're a very bad person. Some of you are very quiet. You look responsible. If person abusive to your wife. Some of your wife, they have endured abuses over the years and they are tired.
Take it off of me, somebody. Take it off of is watching me. It's my anxiety. Take it off of me. Somebody's watching me. Take it off of me. Somebody's watching me. It's my anxiety.
Thank y'all for having me, but let me set the.
If this world if this world were mine.
again. Here it comes. Typing. Typing again. Here it comes. Will I do his math homework? Boys are so typing again. Are so typing. Here it comes. Will I do his math work? Boys are so typing again. Here it comes. Will I do his math homework? Boys are so typing again. Here it comes. Will I do his math homework? Boys are so typing again. Here it comes. Will I do his math homework?
Okay, if you sneeze at school, what are... Okay. Okay, if you sneeze at school, what are we gonna say? Allergies. Allergies. At school, what are we gonna say? Allergies. Allergies.
Coronavirus.
Okay, if you sneeze at school, what are we gonna say? Allergies. Allergies.
Coronavirus.
Okay, if you sneeze at school, what are we gonna say? Allergies. Allergies.
Coronavirus.
Okay, if you sneeze at school, what are we gonna say? Allergies. What are we gonna say?
What did you say about my daughter?
Alabama, you really dumb enough to think I. Alabama. You really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb dirty hoe. I wouldn't tell you what color socks I got on. Alabama, you really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb dirty hoe. I wouldn't tell you what color socks I got on. Alabama, you really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb dirty hoe. I wouldn't tell you what color socks I got on. Alabama, you really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb dirty hoe. I wouldn't tell you what color socks I got on. Alabama, you really dumb enough to think I'd tell you anything, you dumb. Tell you anything, you dumb dirty hoe.
Just cause you liked your old picture. Just cause Just cause he likes your old picture, don't mean he's stuck on the past. Just cause he talks to your brother, don't mean he's still attached. Just cause he's strong, you been over too much into that, don't mean he wants you back. If he loved you, he would tell you. If he missed you, he would call. If he wants you to be his mama, then he would bring you home. Oh, there ain't no excuse, he ain't misunderstood. Quit lying to yourself. If he wanted to, he would. If he wanted to, he would. Don't mean don't mean stuck on the past.
Advil liquid gels for fast.
Welcome to the penthouse of the Waldorf Astoria. Here we have. Welcome to the penthouse of the Waldorf Astoria. Here we have. Welcome to the penthouse of the Waldorf Astoria. Here we have an amazing property. It's 360-degree views. Come on in. To the penthouse of Waldorf Astoria. Here we have an amazing property. It's 360-degree views. Come on in. Welcome to the penthouse of the Waldorf Astoria. Here we have an amazing property. It's 360-degree views. Come on in. Welcome to the penthouse of the Waldorf Astoria. Here we have an amazing property. It's 360-degree views. Come on in. An amazing property. It's 360.
I am so upset with my son right now. He broke.
I don't got no type. I don't got. I don't got no type. Bad bitches is the only. I don't got no. Bad bitch.
I spent a lot of my life thinking that it was only right to chase the bag until it. I spent a lot of my life thinking that it was. I spent a lot of my life thinking that it was only right to chase the bag until it hit me. Why is the bag running away from me? When I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, that's when it hit me that money is supposed to be attracted to you. You're supposed to be operating at a higher frequency to attract money effortlessly. And I do now. I have an abundance because that's how I live. That's why they didn't call the book Grind, Hustle, and Get Rich. Yeah. Think and grow rich. Okay? I spent a lot of my life thinking that it was only right to chase the bag until it hit me. Why is the bag running away from me? When I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, that's when it hit me that money is supposed to be attracted to you. You're supposed to be operating at a higher frequency to attract money effortlessly. And I do now. I have an abundance because that's how I live. That's why they didn't call the book Grind, Hustle, and Get Rich. Yeah. Think and grow rich. Okay? I spent a lot of my life thinking that it was only right to chase the bag until it hit me. Why is the bag running away from me? I spent a lot of my life thinking that it was only right to.
और फिर अचानक से एक दिन तुम्हारी बारी आएगी और तुम्हें वो सब मिलेगा जिसके तुम हकदार हो। और फिर अचानक से एक दिन तुम्हारी बारी आएगी और तुम्हें वो सब मिलेगा और फिर अचानक से एक दिन तुम्हारी बारी आएगी और तुम्हें वो सब मिलेगा जिसके तुम हकदार हो। तो बस तब तक सब्र और शुक्र करते जाओ।
You know what makes me feel pain? When us small content creators
You know what makes me feel pain? When us small content creators What makes me feel pain? When us small content creators put so much work into our videos and try to make them so entertaining we get minimum of 300 views and then like in a maximum of 500. But these girls on TikTok just smile and get 100K. If you guys agree with me, comment down below and follow me. Smile. Hey, if you guys agree with me, comment down below and follow me. You know what makes me feel pain? When us small content creators put so much work into our videos and try to make them so entertaining we get minimum of 300 views and then like in a maximum of 500. But these girls on TikTok just smile and get 100K. If you guys agree with me, comment down below and follow me. You know what makes me feel pain? When us small content creators put so much work into our videos and try to make them so entertaining we get minimum of 300 views and then like in a maximum of 500. But these girls on TikTok just smile and get 100K. If you guys agree with me, comment down below and follow me. You know what makes me feel pain? When us small content creators put so much work into our videos and try
Live life of a thug nigga till the day I die. Live life of a thug nigga till the day I die. Live life of a boss player that's even getting high. Hey, to my nigga Pac. Live my life as a thug nigga until the day I die. Live my life as a boss player that's even getting high. Live life of a boss player that's even getting high. Hey, to my nigga Pac. Live my life as a thug nigga until the day I die. Live my life as a boss player that's even getting high. Live life of a thug nigga till the day I die. Live life of a boss player that's even getting high. Hey, to my nigga Pac. Live my life as a thug nigga until the live my life as a boss player that's even getting high. Live life of a thug nigga till the day I die. Live life of a boss player that's even getting high. Hey, to my nigga Pac. Live my life as a thug nigga until the life of a boss player that's even.
What's up, guys? I don't have much to say in this video, but
Genesis. Genesis 1. In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was barren with no form of life. It was under a roaring ocean covered with darkness, but the Spirit of God was moving over the water. God said,
I command light to shine.
And light started shining. God looked at the light and saw that it was good. He separated light from darkness and named the light day and the darkness night. Evening came and then morning. That was the first day. God said,
I command a dome to separate the water above it from the water below it.
And that's what happened. God made the dome and named it sky. Evening came and then morning. That was the second day. God said,
I command the water under the sky to come together in one place, so there will be dry ground.
And that's what happened. God named the dry ground land, and he named the water ocean. God looked at what he had done and saw that it was good. God said,
I command the earth to produce all kinds of plants, including fruit trees and grain.
And that's what happened. The earth produced all kinds of vegetation. God looked at what he had done, and it was good. Evening came, and then morning. That was the third day. God said,
I command lights to appear in the sky and to separate day from night, and to show the time for seasons, special days, and years. I command them to shine on the earth.
And that's what happened. God made two powerful lights, the brighter one to rule the day and the other to rule the night. He also made the stars. Then God put these lights in the sky to shine on the earth, to rule day and night, and to separate light from darkness. God looked at what he had done, and it was good. Evening came, and then morning. That was the fourth day. God said,
I command the ocean to be full of living creatures, and I command birds to fly above the earth.
So God made the giant sea monsters and all the living creatures that swim in the ocean. He also made every kind of bird. God looked at what he had done, and it was good. Then he gave the living creatures his blessing. He told the ocean creatures to live everywhere in the ocean, and the birds to live everywhere on earth. Evening came, and then morning. That was the fifth day. God said,
I command the earth to give life to all kinds of tame animals, wild animals, and reptiles.
And that's what happened. God made every one of them. Then he looked at what he had done, and it was good. God said,
Now we will make humans, and they will be like us. We will let them rule the fish, the birds, and all other living creatures.
So God created humans to be like himself. He made men and women. God gave them his blessing and said,
Have a lot of children. Fill the earth with people and bring it under your control. Rule over the fish in the ocean, the birds in the sky, and every animal on the earth. I have provided all kinds of fruit and grain for you to eat, and I have given the green plants as food for everything else that breathes. These will be food for animals, both wild and tame, and for birds.
God looked at what he had done. All of it was very good. Evening came, and then morning. That was the sixth day. Genesis 2. So the heavens and the earth and everything else were created. By the seventh day God had finished his work, and so he rested. God blessed the seventh day and made it special, because on that day he rested from his work. That's how God created the heavens and the earth. When the Lord God made the heavens and the earth, no grass or plants were growing anywhere. God had not yet sent any rain, and there was no one to work the land. But streams came up from the ground and watered the earth. The Lord God took a handful of soil and made a man. God breathed life into the man, and the man started breathing. The Lord made a garden in a place called Eden, which was in the east, and he put the man there. The Lord God placed all kinds of beautiful trees and fruit trees in the garden. 2 other trees were in the middle of the garden. One of the trees gave life. The other gave the power to know the difference between right and wrong. From Eden, a river flowed out to water the garden. Then it divided into 4 rivers. The first one is the Pishon River that flows through the land of Havilah, where pure gold, rare perfumes, and precious stones are found. The second is the Gihon River that winds through Ethiopia. The Tigris River that flows east of Assyria is the third, and the fourth is the Euphrates River. The Lord God put the man in the Garden of Eden to take care of it and to look after it. But the Lord told him,
You may eat fruit from any tree in the garden, except the one that has the power to let you know the difference between right and wrong. If you eat any fruit from that tree, you will die before the day is over.
The Lord God said,
It isn't good for the man to live alone. I need to make a suitable partner for him.
So the Lord took some soil and made animals and birds. He brought them to the man to see what names he would give each of them. Then the man named the tame animals and the birds and the wild animals. That's how they got their names. None of these was the right kind of partner for the man. So the Lord God made him fall into a deep sleep, and he took out one of the man's ribs. Then, after closing the man's side, the Lord made a woman out of the rib. The Lord God brought her to the man, and the man exclaimed,
Here is someone like me. She's part of my body, my own flesh and bones. She came from me, a man, so I will name her woman.
That's why a man will leave his own father and mother. He marries a woman, and the 2 of them become like one person. Although the man and his wife were both naked, they were not ashamed. Genesis 3. The snake was sneakier than any of the other wild animals that the Lord God had made. One day, it came to the woman and asked,
Did God tell you not to eat fruit from any tree in the garden?
The woman answered,
God said we could eat fruit from any tree in the garden, except the one in the middle. He told us not to eat fruit from that tree or even to touch it. If we do, we will die.
No, you won't,
the snake replied.
God understands what will happen on the day you eat fruit from that tree. You will see what you have done, and you will know the difference between right and wrong, just as God does.
The woman stared at the fruit. It looked beautiful and tasty. She wanted the wisdom that it would give her, and she ate some of the fruit. Her husband was there with her, so she gave some to him, and he ate it too. Right away, they saw what they had done, and they realized they were naked. Then they sewed fig leaves together to make something to cover themselves. Late in the afternoon, a breeze began to blow, and the man and woman heard the Lord God walking in the garden. They were frightened and hid behind some trees. The Lord called out to the man and asked,
Where are you?
The man answered,
I was naked, and when I heard you walking through the garden, I was frightened and hid.
How did you know you were naked?
God asked.
Did you eat any fruit from that tree in the middle of the garden?
It was the woman you put here with me,
the man said.
She gave me some of the fruit and I ate it.
The Lord God then asked the woman,
What have you done?
The snake tricked me,
she answered,
and I ate some of that fruit.
So the Lord God said to the snake,
Because of what you have done, you will be the only animal to suffer this curse. For as long as you live, you will crawl on your stomach and eat dirt. You and this woman will hate each other. Your descendants and hers will always be enemies. One of hers will strike you on the head, and you will strike him on the heel.
Then the Lord said to the woman,
You will suffer terribly when you give birth, but you will still desire your husband, and he will rule over you.
The Lord said to the man,
You listened to your wife and ate fruit from that tree, and so the ground will be under a curse because of what you did. As long as you live, you will have to struggle to grow enough food. Your food will be plants, but the ground will produce thorns and thistles. You will have to sweat to earn a living. You were made out of soil, and you will once again turn into soil.
The man Adam named his wife Eve because she would become the mother of all who live. Then the Lord God made clothes out of animal skins for the man and his wife. The Lord said,
These people now know the difference between right and wrong, just as we do. But they must not be allowed to eat fruit from the tree that lets them live forever.
So the Lord God sent them out of the Garden of Eden, where they would have to work the ground from which the man had been made. Then God put winged creatures at the entrance to the garden and a flaming, flashing sword to guard the way to the life-giving tree. Genesis 4. Adam and Eve had a son. Then Eve said,
I'll name him Cain, because I got him with the help of the Lord.
Later, she had another son and named him Abel. Abel became a sheep farmer, but Cain farmed the land. One day, Cain gave part of his harvest to the Lord, and Abel also gave an offering to the Lord. He killed the firstborn lamb from one of his sheep and gave the Lord the best parts of it. The Lord was pleased with Abel and his offering, but not with Cain and his offering. This made Cain so angry that he could not hide his feelings. The Lord said to Cain,
What's wrong with you? Why do you have such an angry look on your face? If you had done the right thing, you would be smiling. But you did the wrong thing, and now sin is waiting to attack you like a lion. Sin wants to destroy you, but don't let it.
Cain said to his brother Abel,
Let's go for a walk.
And when they were out in a field, Cain killed him. Afterwards, the Lord asked Cain,
Where is Abel?
How should I know?
He answered,
Am I supposed to look after my brother?
Then the Lord said,
Why have you done this terrible thing? You killed your own brother, and his blood flowed onto the ground. Now his blood is calling out for me to punish you, and so I'll put you under a curse. Because you killed Abel and made his blood run out on the ground, you will never be able to farm the land again. If you try to farm the land, it won't produce anything for you. From now on, you'll be without a home, and you'll spend the rest of your life wandering from place to place.
This punishment is too hard.
Cain said,
You're making me leave my home and live far from you. I will have to wander about without a home, and just anyone could kill me.
No,
the Lord answered.
Anyone who kills you will be punished 7 times worse than I am punishing you.
So the Lord put a mark on Cain to warn everyone not to kill him. But Cain had to go far from the Lord and live in the land of wandering, which is east of Eden. Later, Cain and his wife had a son named Enoch. At the time, Cain was building a town, and so he named it Enoch after his son. Then Enoch had a son named Irad, who had a son named Mehujael, who had a son named Methushael, who had a son named Lamech. Lamech married Ada, then Zillah. Lamech and Ada had 2 sons, Jabal and Jubal. Their son Jabal was the first to live in tents and raise sheep and goats. Jubal was the first to play harps and flutes. Lamech and Zillah had a son named Tubal-Cain, who made tools out of bronze and iron. They also had a daughter whose name was Naamah. One day Lamech said to his 2 wives,
A young man wounded me, and I killed him. Anyone who tries to get even with me will be punished 10 times more than anyone who tries to get even with Cain.
Adam and his wife had another son. They named him Seth because they said,
God has given us a son to take the place of Abel, who was killed by his brother Cain.
Later, Seth had a son and named him Enosh. About this time, people started worshiping the Lord. Genesis 5. God created men and women to be like himself. He gave them his blessing and called them human beings. This is a list of the descendants of Adam, the first man. When Adam was 130, he had a son who was just like him, and he named him Seth. Adam had more children and died at the age of 930. When Seth was 105, he had a son named Enosh. Seth had more children and died at the age of 912. When Enosh was 90, he had a son named Kenan. Enosh had more children and died at the age of 905. When Kenan was 70, he had a son named Mahalalel. Kenan had more children and died at the age of 910. When Mahalalel was 65, he had a son named Jared. Mahalalel had more children and died at the age of 895. When Jared was 162, he had a son named Enoch. Jared had more children and died at the age of 962. When Enoch was 65, he had a son named Methuselah, and during the next 300 years he had more children. Enoch truly loved God, and God took him away at the age of 365. When Methuselah was 187, he had a son named Lamech. Methuselah had more children, and died at the age of 969. When Lamech was 182, he had a son. Lamech said,
"I'll name him Noah, because he will give us comfort as we struggle hard to make a living on this land that the Lord has put under a curse."
Lamech had more children and died at the age of 777. After Noah was 500 years old, he had 3 sons and named them Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Genesis 6. More and more people were born until finally they spread all over the earth. Some of their daughters were so beautiful that supernatural beings came down and married the ones they wanted. Then the Lord said,
I won't let my life-giving breath remain in anyone forever. No one will live for more than 120 years.
The children of the supernatural beings who had married these women became famous heroes and warriors. They were called Nephilim, and lived on the earth at that time and even later. The Lord saw how bad the people on earth were, and that everything they thought and planned was evil. He was very sorry that he had made them, and he said,
I'll destroy every living creature on earth. I'll wipe out people, animals, birds, and reptiles. I'm sorry I ever made them.
But the Lord was pleased with Noah, and this is the story about him. Noah was the only person who lived right and obeyed God. He had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. God knew that everyone was terribly cruel and violent, so he told Noah,
Cruelty and violence have spread everywhere. Now I'm going to destroy the whole earth and all its people. Get some good lumber and build a boat. Put rooms in it and cover it with tar inside and out. Make it 450 feet long, 75 feet high, and 45 feet wide. Build a roof on the boat and leave a space of about 18 inches between the roof and the sides. Make the boat 3 stories high and put a door on one side. I'm going to send a flood that will destroy everything that breathes. Nothing will be left alive. But I solemnly promise that you, your wife, your sons, and your daughters-in-law will be kept safe in the boat. Bring into the boat with you a male and a female of every kind of animal and bird, as well as a male and a female of every reptile. I don't want them to be destroyed. Store up enough food both for yourself and for them.
Noah did everything the Lord told him to do. Genesis 7. The Lord told Noah,
Take your whole family with you into the boat, because you are the only one on this earth who pleases me. Take 7 pairs of every kind of animal that can be used for sacrifice, and 1 pair of all others. Also, take 7 pairs of every kind of bird with you. Do this so there will always be animals and birds on the earth. 7 days from now I will send rain that will last for 40 days and nights, and I will destroy all other living creatures I have made.
Noah was 600 years old when he went into the boat to escape the flood, and he did everything the Lord had told him to do. His wife, his sons, and his daughters-in-law all went inside with him. He obeyed God and took a male and a female of each kind of animal and bird into the boat with him. 7 days later, a flood began to cover the earth. Noah was 600 years old when the water under the earth started gushing out everywhere. The sky opened like windows and rain poured down for 40 days and nights. All this began on the 17th day of the second month of the year. On that day, Noah and his wife went into the boat with their 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. They took along every kind of animal, tame and wild, including the birds. Noah took a male and a female of every living creature with him, just as God had told him to do. And when they were all in the boat, God closed the door. For 40 days the rain poured down without stopping, and the water became deeper and deeper until the boat started floating high above the ground. Finally, the mighty flood was so deep that even the highest mountain peaks were almost 25 feet below the surface of the water. Not a bird, animal, reptile, or human was left alive anywhere on earth. The Lord destroyed everything that breathed. Nothing was left alive except Noah and the others in the boat. 150 days later, the water started going down. Genesis 8. God did not forget about Noah and the animals with him in the boat. So God made a wind blow, and the water started going down. God stopped up the places where the water had been gushing out from under the earth. He also closed up the sky, and the rain stopped. For 150 days, the water slowly went down. Then, on the 17th day of the 7th month of the year, the boat came to rest somewhere in the Ararat Mountains. The water kept going down, and the mountaintops could be seen on the first day of the 10th month. 40 days later, Noah opened a window to send out a raven, but it kept flying around until the water had dried up. Noah wanted to find out if the water had gone down, and he sent out a dove. Deep water was still everywhere, and the dove could not find a place to land, so it flew back to the boat. Noah held out his hand and helped it back in. 7 days later, Noah sent the dove out again. It returned in the evening, holding in its beak a green leaf from an olive tree. Noah knew that the water was finally going down. He waited 7 more days before sending the dove out again, and this time it did not return. Noah was now 601 years old, and by the first day of that year, almost all the water had gone away. Noah made an opening in the roof of the boat and saw that the ground was getting dry. By the 27th day of the 2nd month, the earth was completely dry. God said to Noah,
"You, your wife, your sons, and your daughters-in-law may now leave the boat. Let out the birds, animals, and reptiles, so they can mate and live all over the earth."
After Noah and his family had gone out of the boat, the living creatures left in groups of their own kind. Noah built an altar where he could offer sacrifices to the Lord. Then he offered on the altar one of each kind of animal and bird that could be used for a sacrifice. The smell of the burning offering pleased God, and he said,
"Never again will I punish the earth for the sinful things its people do. All of them have evil thoughts from the time they are young. But I will never destroy everything that breathes, as I did this time. As long as the earth remains, there will be planting and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, day and night."
Genesis 9. God said to Noah and his sons,
"I am giving you my blessing. Have a lot of children and grandchildren, so people will live everywhere on this earth. All animals, birds, reptiles, and fish will be afraid of you. I have placed them under your control, and I have given them to you for food. From now on, you may eat them as well as the green plants that you have always eaten. But life is in the blood, and you must not eat any meat that still has blood in it. I created humans to be like me, and I will punish any animal or person that takes a human life. If an animal kills someone, that animal must die. And if a person takes the life of another, that person must be put to death. I want you and your descendants to have many children, so people will live everywhere on earth.
Again, God said to Noah and his sons,
I am going to make a solemn promise to you and to everyone who will live after you. This includes the birds and the animals that came out of the boat. I promise every living creature that the earth and those living on it will never again be destroyed by a flood. The rainbow that I have put in the sky will be my sign to you and to every living creature on earth. It will remind you that I will keep this promise forever. When I send clouds over the earth and a rainbow appears in the sky, I will remember my promise to you and to all other living creatures. Never again will I let floodwaters destroy all life. When I see the rainbow in the sky, I will always remember the promise that I have made to every living creature. The rainbow will be the sign of that solemn promise.
Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, came out of the boat. Ham later had a son named Canaan. All people on earth are descendants of Noah's 3 sons. Noah farmed the land and was the first to plant a vineyard. One day he got drunk and was lying naked in his tent. Ham entered the tent and saw him naked, then went back outside and told his brothers. Shem and Japheth put a robe over their shoulders and walked backward into the tent. Without looking at their father, they placed it over his body. When Noah woke up and learned what his youngest son Ham had done, he said,
I now put a curse on Canaan. He will be the lowest slave of his brothers. I ask the Lord my God to bless Shem and make Canaan his slave. I pray that the Lord will give Japheth more and more land and let him take over the territory of Shem. May Canaan be his slave.
Noah lived 350 years after the flood and died at the age of 950. Genesis 10. After the flood, Shem, Ham, and Japheth had many descendants. Japheth's descendants had their own languages, tribes, and land. They were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus. Gomer was the ancestor of Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. Javan was the ancestor of Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim, who settled along the coast. Ham's descendants had their own languages, tribes, and land. They were Ethiopia, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. Cush was the ancestor of Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Raamah, and Sabtika. Raamah was the ancestor of Sheba and Dedan. Cush was also the ancestor of Nimrod, a mighty warrior whose strength came from the Lord. Nimrod is the reason for the saying, "You hunt like Nimrod with the strength of the Lord." Cush first ruled in Babylon, Erech, and Akkad, all of which were in Babylonia. From there, Nimrod went to Assyria and built the great city of Nineveh. He also built Rehoboth-ur and Calah, as well as Resen, which is between Nineveh and Calah. Egypt was the ancestor of Ludim, Anamim, Lahabim, Naphtuhim, Pathrusim, Casluhim, and Caphtorim, the ancestor of the Philistines. Canaan's sons were Sidon and Heth. He was also the ancestor of the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites. Later, the Canaanites spread from the territory of Sidon and went as far as Gaza in the direction of Gerar. They also went as far as Lasha in the direction of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim. Shem's descendants had their own languages, tribes, and land. He was the older brother of Japheth and the ancestor of the tribes of Eber. Shem was the ancestor of Elam, Asher, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram. Aram was the ancestor of Uz, Hul, Jether, and Mash. Arpachshad was the father of Shelah and the grandfather of Eber, whose first son was named Peleg, because it was during his time that tribes divided up the earth. Eber's second son was Joktan. Joktan was the ancestor of Almodad, Sheleph, Hazarmaveth, Jireh, Hadoram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. Their land reached from Mesha in the direction of Sephir, the hill country in the east. This completes the list of Noah's descendants. After the flood, their descendants became nations and spread all over the world. Genesis 11. At first, everyone spoke the same language. But after some of them moved from the east and settled in Babylonia, they said,
"Let's build a city with a tower that reaches to the sky. We'll use hard bricks and tar instead of stone and mortar. We'll become famous, and we won't be scattered all over the world."
But when the Lord came down to look at the city and the tower, he said,
"These people are working together because they all speak the same language. This is just the beginning. Soon they will be able to do anything they want. Come on, let's go down and confuse them by making them speak different languages. Then they won't be able to understand each other."
So the people had to stop building the city because the Lord confused their language and scattered them all over the earth. That's how the city of Babel got its name. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100, he had a son named Arpachshad. He had more children and died at the age of 600. This is a list of his descendants. When Arpachshad was 35, he had a son named Shelah. Arpachshad had more children and died at the age of 438. When Shelah was 30, he had a son named Eber. Shelah had more children and died at the age of 433. When Eber was 34, he had a son named Peleg. Eber had more children and died at the age of 464. When Peleg was 30, he had a son named Reu. Peleg had more children and died at the age of 239. When Reu was 32, he had a son named Serug. Reu had more children and died at the age of 239. When Serug was 30, he had a son named Nahor. Serug had more children and died at the age of 230. When Nahor was 29, he had a son named Terah. Nahor had more children and died at the age of 148. After Terah was 70 years old, he had 3 sons, Abram, Nahor, and Haran, who became the father of Lot. Terah's sons were born in the city of Ur in Chaldea, and Haran died there before the death of his father. The following is the story of Terah's descendants. Abram married Sarai, but she was not able to have any children. And Nahor married Milcah, who was the daughter of Haran and the sister of Iscah. Terah decided to move from Ur to the land of Canaan. He took along Abram and Sarai and his grandson Lot, the son of Haran. But when they came to the city of Haran, they decided to settle there instead. Terah lived to be 205 years old and died in Haran. Genesis 12. The Lord said to Abram,
"Leave your country, your family, and your relatives, and go to the land that I will show you. I will bless you and make your descendants into a great nation. You will become famous and be a blessing to others. I will bless anyone who blesses you, but I will put a curse on anyone who puts a curse on you. Everyone on earth will be blessed because of you."
Abram was 75 years old when the Lord told him to leave the city of Haran. He obeyed and left with his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all the possessions and slaves they had gotten while in Haran. When they came to the land of Canaan, Abram went as far as the sacred tree of Moreh in a place called Shechem. The Canaanites were still living in the land at that time, but the Lord appeared to Abram and promised,
"I will give this land to your family forever."
Abram then built an altar there for the Lord. Abram traveled to the hill country east of Bethel and camped between Bethel and Ai, where he built another altar and worshipped the Lord. Later, Abram started out toward the southern desert. The crops failed, and there was no food anywhere in the land. So Abram and his wife Sarai went to live in Egypt for a while. But just before they got there, he said,
Sarai, you are really beautiful. When the Egyptians see how lovely you are, they will murder me because I'm your husband. But they won't kill you. Please save my life by saying that you are my sister."
As soon as Abram and Sarai arrived in Egypt, the Egyptians noticed how beautiful she was. The king's officials told him about her, and she was taken to his house. The king was good to Abram because of Sarai, and Abram was given sheep, cattle, donkeys, slaves, and camels. Because of Sarai, the Lord struck the king and everyone in his palace with terrible diseases. Finally, the king sent for Abram and said to him,
"What have you done to me? Why didn't you tell me Sarai was your wife? Why did you make me believe she was your sister? Now I've married her. Take her and go. She's your wife."
So the king told his men to let Abram and Sarai take their possessions and leave. Genesis 13. Abram and Sarai took everything they owned and went to the southern desert. Lot went with them. Abram was very rich. He owned many cattle, sheep, and goats, and had a lot of silver and gold. Abram moved from place to place in the southern desert, and finally he went north and set up his tents between Bethel and Ai, where he had earlier camped, and built an altar. There he worshipped the Lord. Lot, who was traveling with him, also had sheep, goats, and cattle, as well as his own family and slaves. At this time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were living in the same area, and so there wasn't enough pasture land left for Abram and Lot with all of their animals. Besides this, the men who took care of Abram's animals and the ones who took care of Lot's animals started quarreling. Abram said to Lot,
"We are close relatives. We shouldn't argue, and our men shouldn't be fighting one another. There is plenty of land for you to choose from. Let's separate. If you go north, I'll go south. If you go south, I'll go north."
This happened before the Lord had destroyed the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. And when Lot looked around, he saw there was plenty of water in the Jordan Valley. All the way to Zoar, the valley was as green as the garden of the Lord or the land of Egypt. So Lot chose the whole Jordan Valley for himself, and as he started toward the east, he and Abram separated. Abram stayed in the land of Canaan. But Lot settled near the cities of the valley and put up his tents not far from Sodom, where the people were evil and sinned terribly against the Lord. After Abram and Lot had gone their separate ways, the Lord said to Abram,
"Look around to the north, south, east, and west. I will give you and your family all the land you can see. It will be theirs forever. I will give you more descendants than there are specks of dust on the earth, and someday it will be easier to count the specks of dust than to count your descendants. Now walk back and forth across the land, because I am giving it to you."
Abram took down his tents and went to live near the sacred trees of Mamre at Hebron, where he built an altar in honor of the Lord. Genesis 14. About this time, King Amraphel of Babylonia, King Arioch of Ellasar, King Chedorlaomer of Elam, and King Tidal of Goyim attacked King Bera of Sodom, King Birsha of Gomorrah, King Shinab of Admah, King Shemeber of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, also known as the city of Zoar. King Chedorlaomer and his allies had ruled these last 5 kings for 12 years. But in the 13th year, the kings rebelled and came together in Siddim Valley, which is now covered by the southern part of the Dead Sea. A year later, King Chedorlaomer and his allies attacked and defeated the Rephaites in Ashtaroth Karnaim, the Zuzites in Ham, and the Emites in Sheva Kiriathaim. They also defeated the Horites in the hill country of Edom as far as El Paran near the desert. They went back to the city of En-Mishpat, better known as Kadesh. Then they captured all the land that belonged to the Amalekites, and they defeated the Amorites who were living in Hazazon Tamar. At Siddim Valley, the armies of the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela fought the armies of King Chedorlaomer of Elam, King Tidal of Goyim, King Amraphel of Babylonia, and King Arioch of Elasar. The valley was full of tar pits, and when the troops from Sodom and Gomorrah started running away, some of them fell into the pits. Others escaped to the hill country. Their enemies took everything of value from Sodom and Gomorrah, including their food supplies. They also captured Abram's nephew Lot, who lived in Sodom. They took him and his possessions and then left. At this time, Abram the Hebrew was living near the oaks that belonged to Mamre the Amorite. Mamre and his brothers Eshcol and Aner were Abram's friends. Someone who had escaped from the battle told Abram that his nephew Lot had been taken away. 318 of Abram's servants were fighting men, so he took them and followed the enemy as far north as the city of Dan. That night, Abram divided up his troops, attacked from all sides, and won a great victory. But some of the enemy escaped to the town of Hobah north of Damascus, and Abram went after them. He brought back his nephew Lot, together with Lot's possessions and the women and everyone else who had been captured. Abram returned after he had defeated King Chedorlaomer and the other kings. Then the king of Sodom went to meet Abram in Sheva Valley, which is also known as King's Valley. King Melchizedek of Salem was a priest of God Most High. He brought out some bread and wine and said to Abram,
I bless you in the name of God Most High, creator of heaven and earth. All praise belongs to God Most High for helping you defeat your enemies.
Then Abram gave Melchizedek a tenth of everything. The king of Sodom said to Abram,
All I want are my people. You can keep everything else.
Abram answered,
The Lord God Most High made the heavens and the earth, and I have promised him that I won't keep anything of yours, not even a sandal strap or a piece of thread. Then you can never say that you are the one who made me rich. Let my share be the food that my men have eaten. But Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre went with me, so give them their share of what we brought back.
Genesis 15. Later the Lord spoke to Abram in a vision.
Abram, don't be afraid. I will protect you and reward you greatly.
But Abram answered,
Lord, all-powerful, you have given me everything I could ask for, except children. And when I die, Eliezer of Damascus will get all I own. You have not given me any children, and this servant of mine will inherit everything.
The Lord replied,
No, he won't. You will have a son of your own, and everything you have will be his.
Then the Lord took Abram outside and said,
Look at the sky and see if you can count the stars. That's how many descendants you will have.
Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord was pleased with him. The Lord said to Abram,
I brought you here from Ur in Chaldea, and I gave you this land.
Abram asked,
Lord God, how can I know the land will be mine?
Then the Lord told him,
Bring me a 3-year-old cow, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a dove, and a young pigeon.
Abram obeyed the Lord. Then he cut the animals in half and laid the 2 halves of each animal opposite each other on the ground. But he did not cut the doves and pigeons in half. And when birds came down to eat the animals, Abram chased them away. As the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and everything became dark and frightening. Then the Lord said,
Abram, you will live to an old age and die in peace. But I solemnly promise that your descendants will live as foreigners in a land that doesn't belong to them. They will be forced into slavery and abused for 400 years. But I will terribly punish the nation that enslaves them, and they will leave with many possessions. 4 generations later, your descendants will return here and take this land, because only then will the people who live here be so sinful that they deserve to be punished.
Sometime after sunset, when it was very dark, a smoking cooking pot and a flaming fire went between the 2 halves of each animal. At that time, the Lord made an agreement with Abram and told him,
I will give your descendants the land east of the Shihor River on the border of Egypt as far as the Euphrates River. They will possess the land of the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites.
Genesis 16. Abram's wife Sarai had not been able to have any children, but she owned a young Egyptian slave woman named Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram,
The Lord has not given me any children. Sleep with my slave, and if she has a child, it will be mine.
Abram agreed, and Sarai gave him Hagar to be his wife. This happened after Abram had lived in the land of Canaan for 10 years. Later, when Hagar knew she was going to have a baby, she became proud and was hateful to Sarai. Then Sarai said to Abram,
It's all your fault. I gave you my slave woman, but she has been hateful to me ever since she found out she was pregnant. You have done me wrong, and you will have to answer to the Lord for this.
Abram said,
All right. She's your slave, and you can do whatever you want with her.
But Sarai began treating Hagar so harshly that she finally ran away. Hagar stopped to rest at a spring in the desert on the road to Shur. While she was there, the angel of the Lord came to her and asked,
Hagar, where have you come from, and where are you going?
She answered,
I'm running away from Sarah, my owner.
The angel said,
Go back to Sarai and be her slave. I will give you a son who will be called Ishmael, because I've heard your cry for help. And later I will give you so many descendants that no one will be able to count them all. But your son will live far from his relatives. He will be like a wild donkey, fighting everyone, and everyone fighting him.
Hagar thought,
Have I really seen God and lived to tell about it?
So from then on she called him the God who sees me. That's why people call the well between Kadesh and Bered the well of the living one who sees me. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar gave birth to their son, and he named him Ishmael. Genesis 17. Abram was 99 years old when the Lord appeared to him again and said,
I am God all-powerful. If you obey me and always do right, I will keep my solemn promise to you and give you more descendants than can be counted.
Abram bowed with his face to the ground, and God said,
I promise that you will be the father of many nations. That's why I now change your name from Abram to Abraham. I will give you a lot of descendants, and in the future they will become great nations. Some of them will even be kings. I will always keep the promise I have made to you and your descendants, because I am your God and their God. I will give you and them the land in which you are now a foreigner. I will give the whole land of Canaan to your family forever, and I will be their God. Abraham, you and all future members of your family must promise to obey me. As the sign that you are keeping this promise, you must circumcise every man and boy in your family. From now on, your family must circumcise every baby boy when he is 8 days old. You must even circumcise any man or boy you have as a slave, both those born in your homes and those you buy from foreigners. This will be a sign that my promise to you will last forever. Any man who isn't circumcised hasn't kept his promise to me and cannot be one of my people. Abraham, your wife's name will now be Sarah instead of Sarai. I will bless her, and you will have a son by her. She will become the mother of nations, and some of her descendants will even be kings.
Abraham bowed with his face to the ground and thought,
I am almost 100 years old. How can I become a father? And Sarah is 90. How can she have a child?
So he started laughing. Then he asked God,
Why not let Ishmael inherit what you have promised me?
But God answered,
No, you and Sarah will have a son. His name will be Isaac, and I will make an everlasting promise to him and his descendants. I have heard what you asked me to do for Ishmael, and so I will also bless him with many descendants. He will be the father of 12 princes, and I will make his family a great nation. But your son Isaac will be born about this time next year, and the promise I am making to you and your family will be for him and his descendants forever.
God finished speaking to Abraham and then left. On that same day, Abraham obeyed God by circumcising Ishmael. Abraham was also circumcised, and so were all other men and boys in his household, including his servants and slaves. He was 99 years old at the time, and his son Ishmael was 13. Genesis 18. One hot summer afternoon, Abraham was sitting by the entrance to his tent near the sacred trees of Mamre when the Lord appeared to him. Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. He quickly ran to meet them, bowed with his face to the ground, and said,
Please, come to my home where I can serve you. I'll have some water brought so you can wash your feet. Then you can rest under the tree. Let me get you some food to give you strength before you leave. I would be honored to serve you.
Thank you very much,
they answered.
We accept your offer.
Abraham quickly went to his tent and said to Sarah,
Hurry, get a large sack of flour and make some bread.
After saying this, he rushed off to his herd of cattle and picked out one of the best calves, which his servant quickly prepared. He then served his guests some yogurt and milk together with the meat. While they were eating, he stood near them under the trees, and they asked,
Where is your wife, Sarah?
She's right there, in the tent.
Abraham answered. One of the guests was the Lord, and he said,
I'll come back about this time next year, and when I do, Sarah will already have a son.
Sarah was behind Abraham, listening at the entrance to the tent. Abraham and Sarah were very old, and Sarah was well past the age for having children. So she laughed and said to herself,
Now that I am worn out and my husband is old, will I really know such happiness?
The Lord asked Abraham,
Why did Sarah laugh? Does she doubt that she can have a child in her old age? I am the Lord. There is nothing too difficult for me. I'll come back next year at the time I promised, and Sarah will already have a son.
Sarah was so frightened that she lied and said,
I didn't laugh.
Yes, you did,
he answered. When the 3 men got ready to leave, they looked down toward Sodom, and Abraham walked part of the way with them. The Lord said to himself,
I should tell Abraham what I am going to do, since his family will become a great and powerful nation that will be a blessing to all other nations on earth. I have chosen him to teach his family to obey me forever and to do what is right and fair. Then I will give Abraham many descendants, just as I promised.
The Lord said,
Abraham, I have heard that the people of Sodom and Gomorrah are doing all kinds of evil things. Now I am going down to see for myself if those people really are that bad. If they aren't, I want to know about it.
The men turned and started toward Sodom, but the Lord stayed with Abraham, who asked,
Lord, when you destroy the evil people, are you also going to destroy those who are good? Wouldn't you spare the city if there are only 50 good people in it? You surely wouldn't let them be killed when you destroy the evil ones. You are the judge of all the earth, and you do what is right.
The Lord replied,
If I find 50 good people in Sodom, I will save the city to keep them from being killed.
Abraham answered,
I am nothing more than the dust of the earth. Please forgive me, Lord, for daring to speak to you like this. But suppose there are only 45 good people in Sodom. Would you still wipe out the whole city?
If I find 45 good people,
the Lord replied,
I won't destroy the city.
Suppose there are just 40 good people,
Abraham asked.
Even for them,
the Lord replied,
I won't destroy the city.
Abraham said,
Please don't be angry, Lord, if I ask you what you will do if there are only 30 good people in the city.
If I find 30,
the Lord replied,
I still won't destroy it.
Then Abraham said,
I don't have any right to ask you, Lord, but what would you do if you find only 20?
Because of them, I won't destroy the city,
was the Lord's answer. Finally, Abraham said,
Please don't get angry, Lord, if I speak just once more. Suppose you find only 10 good people there.
For the sake of 10 good people,
the Lord told him,
I still won't destroy the city.
After speaking with Abraham, the Lord left, and Abraham went back home. Genesis 19. That evening, the two angels arrived in Sodom, while Lot was sitting near the city gate. When Lot saw them, he got up, bowed down low, and said,
Gentlemen, I am your servant. Please come to my home. You can wash your feet, spend the night, and be on your way in the morning.
They told him,
No, we will spend the night in the city square.
But Lot kept insisting until they finally agreed and went home with him. He baked some bread, cooked a meal, and they ate. Before Lot and his guests could go to bed, every man in Sodom, young and old, came and stood outside his house and started shouting,
Where are your visitors? Send them out so we can have sex with them.
Lot went outside and shut the door behind him. Then he said,
Friends, please don't do such a terrible thing. I have 2 daughters who have never been married. I'll bring them out, and you can do what you want with them. But don't harm these men. They are guests in my home.
Don't get in our way,
the crowd answered.
You're an outsider. What right do you have to order us around? We'll do worse things to you than we're going to do to them.
The crowd kept arguing with Lot. Finally, they rushed toward the door to break it down. But the 2 angels in the house reached out and pulled Lot safely inside. Then they struck everyone in the crowd blind, and none of them could even find the door. The 2 angels said to Lot,
The Lord has heard many terrible things about the people of Sodom, and he has sent us here to destroy the city. Take your family and leave. Take every relative you have in the city, as well as the men your daughters are going to marry.
Lot went to the men who were engaged to his daughters and said,
Hurry and get out of here. The Lord is going to destroy this city.
But they thought he was joking, and they laughed at him. Early the next morning, the 2 angels tried to make Lot hurry and leave. They said,
Take your wife and your 2 daughters and get out of here as fast as you can. If you don't, every one of you will be killed when the Lord destroys the city.
At first, Lot just stood there. But the Lord wanted to save him. So the angels took Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters by the hand and led them out of the city. When they were outside, one of the angels said,
Run for your lives. Don't even look back. And don't stop in the valley. Run to the hills where you will be safe.
Lot answered,
You have done us a great favor, sir. You have saved our lives, but please don't make us go to the hills. That's too far away. The city will be destroyed before we can get there, and we will be killed when it happens. There's a town near here. It's only a small place, but my family and I will be safe, if you'll let us go there.
All right, go there,
he answered.
I won't destroy that town. Hurry, run. I can't do anything until you are safely there.
The town was later called Zoar because Lot had said it was small. The sun was coming up as Lot reached the town of Zoar, and the Lord sent burning sulfur down like rain on Sodom and Gomorrah. He destroyed those cities and everyone who lived in them, as well as their land and the trees and grass that grew there. On the way, Lot's wife looked back and was turned into a block of salt. That same morning, Abraham got up and went to the place where he had stood and spoken with the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and saw smoke rising from all over the land. It was like a flaming furnace. When God destroyed the cities of the valley where Lot lived, he remembered his promise to Abraham and saved Lot from the terrible destruction. Lot was afraid to stay on in Zoar, so he took his 2 daughters and moved to a cave in the hill country. One day his older daughter said to her sister,
"Our father is old, and there are no men anywhere for us to marry. Let's get our father drunk. Then we can sleep with him and have children."
That night they got their father drunk, and the older daughter got in bed with him. But he was too drunk even to know she was there. The next day the older daughter said to her sister,
"I slept with my father last night. We'll get him drunk again tonight, so you can go to bed with him, and we can each have a child."
That night they got their father drunk, and this time the younger sister slept with him. But once again he was too drunk even to know she was there. That's how Lot's 2 daughters had their children. The older daughter named her son Moab, and he is the ancestor of the Moabites. The younger daughter named her son Ben-Ammi, and he is the ancestor of the Ammonites. Genesis 20. Abraham moved to the southern desert, where he settled between Kadesh and Shur. Later he went to Gerar, and while there he told everyone that his wife Sarah was his sister. So King Abimelech of Gerar had Sarah brought to him. But God came to Abimelech in a dream and said,
"You have taken a married woman, and for this you will die."
Abimelech said to the Lord,
"Don't kill me. I haven't slept with Sarah. Didn't they say they were brother and sister? I am completely innocent."
God spoke to Abimelech in another dream and said,
"I know you are innocent. That's why I kept you from sleeping with Sarah and doing anything wrong. Her husband is a prophet. Let her go back to him, and his prayers will save you from death. But if you don't return her, you and all your people will die."
Early the next morning, Abimelech sent for his officials, and when he told them what had happened, they were frightened. Abimelech then called in Abraham and said,
"Look what you've done to us. What have I ever done to you? Why did you make me and my nation guilty of such a terrible sin? What were you thinking when you did this?"
Abraham answered,
"I did it because I didn't think any of you respected God, and I was sure that someone would kill me to get my wife. Besides, she is my half-sister. We have the same father, but different mothers. When God made us leave my father's home and start wandering, I told her, 'If you really love me, you will tell everyone that I am your brother.'"
Abimelech gave Abraham some sheep, cattle, and slaves. He sent Sarah back and told Abraham that he could settle anywhere in his country. Then he said to Sarah,
"I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver as proof to everyone that you have done nothing wrong."
Meanwhile, God had kept Abimelech's wife and slaves from having children. But Abraham prayed, and God let them start having children again. Genesis 21. The Lord was good to Sarah and kept his promise. Although Abraham was very old, Sarah had a son exactly at the time God had said. Abraham named his son Isaac, and when the boy was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him, just as the Lord had commanded. Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born, and Sarah said,
"God has made me laugh. Now everyone will laugh with me." Who would have dared to tell Abraham that someday I would have a child? But in his old age, I have given him a son.
The time came when Sarah no longer had to nurse Isaac, and on that day Abraham gave a big feast. One day, Sarah noticed Hagar's son Ishmael playing, and she said to Abraham,
"Get rid of that Egyptian slave woman and her son. I don't want him to inherit anything. It should all go to my son.
Abraham was worried about Ishmael, but God said,
Abraham, don't worry about your slave woman and the boy. Just do what Sarah tells you. Isaac will inherit your family name, but the son of the slave woman is also your son, and I will make his descendants into a great nation.
Early the next morning, Abraham gave Hagar an animal skin full of water and some bread. Then he put the boy on her shoulder and sent them away. They wandered around in the desert near Beersheba, and after they had run out of water, Hagar put her son under a bush. Then she sat down a long way off because she could not bear to watch him die, and she cried bitterly. When God heard the boy crying, the angel of God called out to Hagar from heaven and said,
Hagar, why are you worried? Don't be afraid. I have heard your son crying. Help him up and hold his hand, because I will make him the father of a great nation.
Then God let her see a well. So she went to the well and filled the skin with water, then gave some to her son. God blessed Ishmael, and as the boy grew older, he became an expert with his bow and arrows. He lived in the Paran desert, and his mother chose an Egyptian woman for him to marry. About this time, Abimelech and his army commander Phicol said to Abraham,
God blesses everything you do. Now I want you to promise in the name of God that you will always be loyal to me and my descendants, just as I have always been loyal to you in this land where you have lived as a foreigner.
And so Abraham promised. One day, Abraham told Abimelech,
Some of your servants have taken over one of my wells.
This is the first I've heard about it,
Abimelech replied.
Why haven't you said something before? I don't have any idea who did it.
Abraham gave Abimelech some sheep and cattle, and then the two men made a peace treaty. Abraham separated 7 female lambs from his flock of sheep, and Abimelech asked,
Why have you done this?
Abraham told him,
I want you to accept these 7 lambs as proof that I dug this well.
So they called the place Beersheba, because they made a treaty there. When the treaty was completed, Abimelech and his army commander Phicol went back to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba and worshipped the eternal Lord God. Then Abraham lived a long time as a foreigner in the land of the Philistines. Genesis 22. Some years later, God decided to test Abraham, so he spoke to him. Abraham answered,
Here I am, Lord.
The Lord said,
Go, get Isaac, your only son, the one you dearly love. Take him to the land of Moriah, and I will show you a mountain, where you must sacrifice him to me on the fires of an altar.
So Abraham got up early the next morning and chopped wood for the fire. He put a saddle on his donkey and left with Isaac and 2 servants for the place where God had told him to go. 3 days later, Abraham looked off in the distance and saw the place. He told his servants,
Stay here with the donkey, while my son and I go over there to worship. We will come back.
Abraham put the wood on Isaac's shoulder, but he carried the hot coals and the knife. As the 2 of them walked along, Isaac said,
Father, we have the coals and the wood, but where is the lamb for the sacrifice?
My son,
Abraham answered,
God will provide the lamb.
The 2 of them walked on, and when they reached the place that God had told him about, Abraham built an altar and placed the wood on it. Next, he tied up his son and put him on the wood. He then took the knife and got ready to kill his son. But the Lord's angel shouted from heaven,
Abraham! Abraham!
Here I am,
he answered.
Don't hurt the boy or harm him in any way.
The angel said,
Now I know that you truly obey God, because you were willing to offer him your only son.
Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught by its horns in the bushes. So he took the ram and sacrificed it in place of his son. Abraham named that place, The Lord Will Provide. And even now people say,
On the mountain of the Lord it will be provided.
The Lord's angel called out from heaven a second time. You were willing to offer the Lord your only son, and so he makes you this solemn promise. I will bless you and give you such a large family that someday your descendants will be more numerous than the stars in the sky or the grains of sand along the beach. They will defeat their enemies and take over the cities where their enemies live. You have obeyed me, and so you and your descendants will be a blessing to all nations on earth. Abraham and Isaac went back to the servants who had come with him, and they returned to Abraham's home in Beersheba. Abraham's brother Nahor had married Milcah, and Abraham was later told that they had 8 sons. Uz was their firstborn, Buz was next, and then there was Kemuel, who became the father of Aram. Their other 5 sons were Kesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel, who became the father of Rebekah. Nahor also had another wife. Her name was Reumah. She had 4 sons, Tebah, Gaham, Tahash, and Maacah. Genesis 23. When Sarah was 127 years old, she died in Kiriath Arba, better known as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. After Abraham had mourned for her, he went to the Hittites and said,
I live as a foreigner in your land, and I don't own any property where I can bury my wife. Please, let me buy a piece of land.
Sir,
they answered,
you're an important man. Choose the best place to bury your wife. None of us would refuse you a resting place for your dead.
Abraham bowed down and replied,
If you are willing to let me bury my wife here, please ask Zohar's son Ephron to sell me Machpelah Cave at the end of his field. I'll pay what it's worth, and all of you can be witnesses.
Ephron was sitting there near the city gate when Abraham made this request, and he answered,
Sir, the whole field, including the cave, is yours. With my own people as witnesses, I freely give it to you as a burial place for your dead.
Once again, Abraham bowed down and said to Ephron,
In front of these witnesses, I offer you the full price so I can bury my wife. Please accept my offer.
But, sir,
the man replied,
the property is worth only 400 pieces of silver. Why should we haggle over such a small amount? Take the land, it's yours.
Abraham accepted Ephron's offer and paid him the 400 pieces of silver in front of everyone at the city gate. That's how Abraham got Ephron's property east of Hebron, which included the field with all its trees, as well as Machpelah Cave at the end of the field. So Abraham buried his wife Sarah in Machpelah Cave that was in the field he had bought from the Hittites. Genesis 24. Abraham was now a very old man. The Lord had made him rich, and he was successful in everything he did. One day Abraham called in his most trusted servant and said to him,
Solemnly promise me, in the name of the Lord, who rules heaven and earth, that you won't choose a wife for my son Isaac from the people here in the land of Canaan. Instead, go back to the land where I was born and find a wife for him from among my relatives.
But the servant asked,
What if the young woman I choose refuses to leave home and come here with me? Should I send Isaac there to look for a wife?
No,
Abraham answered.
Don't ever do that, no matter what. The Lord who rules heaven brought me here from the land where I was born and promised that he would give this land to my descendants forever. When you go back there, the Lord will send his angel ahead of you to help you find a wife for my son. If the woman refuses to come along, you don't have to keep this promise. But don't ever take my son back there.
So the servant gave Abraham his word that he would do everything he had been told to do. Soon after that, the servant loaded 10 of Abraham's camels with valuable gifts. Then he set out for the city in northern Syria where Abraham's brother Nahor lived. When he got there, he let the camels rest near the well outside the city. It was late afternoon, the time when the women came out for water. The servant prayed,
You, Lord, are the God my master Abraham worships. Please keep your promise to him and let me find a wife for Isaac today. The young women of the city will soon come to this well for water, and I'll ask one of them for a drink. If she gives me a drink and then offers to get some water for my camels, I'll know she is the one you have chosen and that you have kept your promise to my master."
While he was still praying, a beautiful unmarried young woman came by with a water jar on her shoulder. She was Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Abraham's brother Nahor, and his wife Milcah. Rebekah walked past Abraham's servant, then went over to the well and filled her water jar. When she started back, Abraham's servant ran to her and said,
"Please, let me have a drink of water."
"I'll be glad to,"
she answered. Then she quickly took the jar from her shoulder and held it while he drank. After he had finished, she said,
"Now I'll give your camels all the water they want."
She quickly poured out water for them, and she kept going back for more until his camels had drunk all they wanted. Abraham's servant did not say a word, but he watched everything Rebekah did, because he wanted to know for certain if this was the woman the Lord had chosen. The servant had brought along an expensive gold ring and 2 large gold bracelets. When Rebekah had finished bringing the water, he gave her the ring for her nose and the bracelets for her arms. Then he said,
"Please, tell me who your father is. Does he have room in his house for me and my men to spend the night?"
She answered,
"My father is Bethuel, the son of Nahor and Milcah. We have a place where you and your men can stay, and we also have enough straw and feed for your camels."
Then the servant bowed his head and prayed,
"I thank you, Lord God of my master Abraham. You have led me to his relatives and kept your promise to him."
Rebekah ran straight home and told her family everything. Her brother Laban heard her tell what the servant had said, and he saw the ring and the bracelet she was wearing. So Laban ran out to Abraham's servant, who was standing by his camels at the well. Then Laban said,
"The Lord has brought you safely here. Come home with me. There's no need for you to keep on standing outside. I have a room ready for you in our house, and there's also a place for your camels."
Abraham's servant went home with Laban, where Laban's servants unloaded his camels and gave them straw and feed. Then they brought water into the house, so Abraham's servant and his men could wash their feet. After that, they brought in food. But the servant said,
"Before I eat, I must tell you why I have come."
"Go ahead and tell us,"
Laban answered. The servant explained,
"I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has been good to my master, and he has made him very rich. He has given him many sheep, goats, cattle, camels, and donkeys, as well as a lot of silver and gold, and many slaves. Sarah, my master's wife, didn't have any children until she was very old. Then she had a son, and my master has given him everything. I solemnly promised my master that I would do what he said, and he told me, 'Don't choose a wife for my son from the women in this land of Canaan. Instead, go back to the land where I was born, and find a wife for my son from among my relatives.' I asked my master, 'What if the young woman refuses to come with me?' My master answered, 'I have always obeyed the Lord, and he will send his angel to help you find my son a wife from among my own relatives. But if they refuse to let her come back with you, then you are freed from your promise.' When I came to the well today, I silently prayed, 'You, Lord, are the God my master Abraham worships, so please lead me to a wife for his son while I am here at the well. When a young woman comes out to get water, I'll ask her to give me a drink. If she gives me a drink and offers to get some water for my camels, I'll know she is the one you have chosen.' Even before I had finished praying, Rebekah came by with a water jar on her shoulder. When she had filled the jar, I asked her for a drink. She quickly lowered the jar from her shoulder and said, 'Have a drink, then I'll get water for your camels.' So I drank, and after that she got some water for my camels. I asked her who her father was, and she answered, 'My father is Bethuel, the son of Nahor and Milcah.' Right away I put the ring in her nose and the bracelets on her arms. Then I bowed my head and gave thanks to the God my master Abraham worships. The Lord had led me straight to my master's relatives, and I had found a wife for his son. Now, please tell me if you are willing to do the right thing for my master. Will you treat him fairly, or do I have to look for another young woman?"
Laban and Bethuel answered,
"The Lord has done this. We have no choice in the matter. Take Rebekah with you. She can marry your master's son, just as the Lord has said."
Abraham's servant bowed down and thanked the Lord. Then he gave clothing as well as silver and gold jewelry to Rebekah. He also gave expensive gifts to her brother and her mother. Abraham's servant and the men with him ate and drank, then spent the night there. The next morning they got up, and the servant told Rebekah's mother and brother,
"I would like to go back to my master now."
"Let Rebekah stay with us for a week or 10 days.
They answered.
Then she may go."
But he said,
"Don't make me stay any longer. The Lord has already helped me find a wife for my master's son. Now let us return."
They answered,
"Let's ask Rebekah what she wants to do."
They called her and asked,
"Are you willing to leave with this man right now?"
"Yes,"
she answered. So they agreed to let Rebekah and an old family servant woman leave immediately with Abraham's servant and his men. They gave Rebekah their blessing and said,
"We pray that God will give you many children and grandchildren, and that he will help them defeat their enemies."
Afterwards, Rebekah and the young women who were to travel with her prepared to leave. Then they got on camels and left with Abraham's servant and his men. At that time, Isaac was living in the southern part of Canaan near a place called the Well of the Living One Who Sees Me. One evening he was walking out in the fields when suddenly he saw a group of people approaching on camels, so he started toward them. Rebekah saw him coming. She got down from her camel and asked,
"Who is that man?"
"He is my master, Isaac,"
the servant answered. Then Rebekah covered her face with her veil. The servant told Isaac everything that had happened. Isaac took Rebekah into the tent where his mother had lived before she died, and Rebekah became his wife. He loved her and was comforted over the loss of his mother. Genesis 25. Abraham married Keturah, and they had 6 sons: Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Later, Jokshan became the father of Sheba and Dedan. And when Dedan grew up, he had 3 sons, Ashurim, Letushim, and Leumim. Midian also had 5 sons, Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Eldaah. While Abraham was still alive, he gave gifts to the son of Hagar and Keturah. He also sent their sons to live in the east far from his son Isaac, and when Abraham died, he left everything to Isaac. Abraham died at the ripe old age of 175. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him east of Hebron in Machpelah Cave, that was part of the field Abraham had bought from Ephron, son of Zohar the Hittite. Abraham was buried there beside his wife Sarah. God blessed Isaac after this, and Isaac moved to a place called the Well of the Living One Who Sees Me. Ishmael was the son of Abraham and Hagar, the slave woman of Sarah. Ishmael had 12 sons in this order: Nebaioth, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jeter, Naphish, and Kedemah. Each of Ishmael's sons was a tribal chief, and a village was named after each of them. Ishmael had settled in the land east of his brothers, and his sons settled everywhere from Havilah to Shur, east of Egypt on the way to Ashur. Ishmael was 137 when he died. Isaac was the son of Abraham, and he was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel. She was also the sister of Laban the Aramean from northern Syria. Almost 20 years later, Rebekah still had no children. So Isaac asked the Lord to let her have a child, and the Lord answered his prayer. Before Rebekah gave birth, she knew she was going to have twins because she could feel them inside her fighting each other. She thought,
Why is this happening to me?
Finally, she asked the Lord why her twins were fighting, and he told her,
Your 2 sons will become 2 separate nations. The younger of the 2 will be stronger, and the older son will be his servant.
When Rebekah gave birth, the first baby was covered with red hair, so he was named Esau. The second baby grabbed onto his brother's heel, so they named him Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when they were born. As Jacob and Esau grew older, Esau liked the outdoors and became a good hunter, while Jacob settled down and became a shepherd. Esau would take the meat of wild animals to his father Isaac, and so Isaac loved him more. But Jacob was his mother's favorite son. One day, Jacob was cooking some stew when Esau came home hungry and said,
I'm starving to death. Give me some of that red stew right now.
That's how Esau got the name Edom. Jacob replied,
Sell me your rights as the firstborn son.
I'm about to die,
Esau answered.
What good will those rights do me?
But Jacob said,
Promise me your birthrights here and now.
And that's what Esau did. Jacob then gave Esau some bread and some of the bean stew, and when Esau had finished eating and drinking, he just got up and left, showing how little he thought of his rights as the firstborn. Genesis 26. Once during Abraham's lifetime, the fields had not produced enough grain, and now the same thing happened. So Isaac went to King Abimelech of the Philistines in the land of Gerar, because the Lord had appeared to Isaac and said,
Isaac, stay away from Egypt. I will show you where I want you to go. You will live there as a foreigner, but I will be with you and bless you. I will keep my promise to your father Abraham by giving this land to you and your descendants. I will give you as many descendants as there are stars in the sky, and I will give your descendants all of this land. They will be a blessing to every nation on earth, because Abraham did everything I told him to do.
Isaac moved to Gerar with his beautiful wife Rebekah. He was afraid that someone might kill him to get her, so he told everyone that Rebekah was his sister. After Isaac had been there a long time, King Abimelech looked out a window and saw Isaac hugging and kissing Rebekah. Abimelech called him in and said,
Rebekah must be your wife. Why did you say she is your sister?
Because I thought someone would kill me,
Isaac answered.
Don't you know what you've done?
Abimelech exclaimed.
If someone had slept with her, you would have made our whole nation guilty.
Then Abimelech warned his people that anyone who even touched Isaac or Rebekah would be put to death. Isaac planted grain and had a good harvest that same year. The Lord blessed him, and Isaac was so successful that he became very rich. In fact, the Philistines were jealous of the large number of sheep, goats, and slaves that Isaac owned, and they stopped up the wells that Abraham's servants had dug before his death. Finally, Abimelech said,
Isaac, I want you to leave our country. You have become too powerful to stay here.
Isaac left and settled in Gerar Valley, where he cleaned out those wells that the Philistines had stopped up. Isaac also gave each of the wells the same name that Abraham had given to them. While his servants were digging in the valley, they found a spring-fed well. But the shepherds of Gerar Valley quarreled with Isaac's shepherds and claimed the water belonged to them. So the well was named Quarrel, because they had quarreled with Isaac. Isaac's servants dug another well, and the shepherds also quarreled about it. So that well was named Jealous. Finally, they dug one more well. There was no quarreling this time, and the well was named Lots of Room, because the Lord had given them room and would make them very successful. Isaac went on to Beersheba, where the Lord appeared to him that night, and told him,
Don't be afraid. I am the God who was worshipped by your father Abraham, my servant. I will be with you and bless you, and because of Abraham, I will give you many descendants.
Isaac built an altar there and worshipped the Lord. Then he set up camp, and his servant started digging a well. Meanwhile, Abimelech had left Gerar and was taking his advisor Ahazath and his army commander Phicol to see Isaac. When they arrived, Isaac asked,
Why are you here? Didn't you send me away because you hated me?
They answered,
We now know for certain that the Lord is with you, and we have decided there needs to be a peace treaty between you and us. So let us make a solemn agreement not to harm each other. Remember, we have never hurt you, and when we sent you away, we let you go in peace. The Lord has truly blessed you."
Isaac gave a big feast for them, and everyone ate and drank. Early the next morning, Isaac and the others made a solemn agreement. Then he let them go in peace. Later that same day, Isaac's servants came and said,
"We've struck water."
So Isaac named the well Shibah, and the town is still called Beersheba. When Esau was 40, he married Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. But these two women brought a lot of grief to his parents, Isaac and Rebekah. Genesis 27. After Isaac had become old and almost blind, he called in his firstborn son Esau, who asked him,
"Father, what can I do for you?"
Isaac replied,
"I am old and might die at any time. So take your bow and arrows, then go out in the fields and kill a wild animal. Cook some of that tasty food that I love so much and bring it to me. I want to eat it once more and give you my blessing before I die."
Rebekah had been listening, and as soon as Esau left to go hunting, she said to Jacob,
"I heard your father tell Esau to kill a wild animal and cook some tasty food for your father before he dies. Your father said this because he wants to bless your brother with the Lord as his witness. Now, my son, listen carefully to what I want you to do. Go and kill 2 of your best young goats and bring them to me. I'll cook the tasty food that your father loves so much. Then you can take it to him so he can eat it and give you his blessing before he dies."
My brother Esau is a hairy man.
Jacob reminded her,
"And I am not. If my father touches me and realizes I am trying to trick him, he will put a curse on me instead of giving me a blessing."
Rebekah insisted,
"Let his curse fall on me. Just do what I say and bring me the meat."
So Jacob brought the meat to his mother, and she cooked the tasty food that his father liked. Then she took Esau's best clothes and put them on Jacob. She also covered the smooth part of his hands and neck with goatskins, and gave him some bread and the tasty food she had cooked. Jacob went to his father and said,
"Father, here I am."
"Which one of my sons are you?"
his father asked. Jacob replied,
"I am Esau, your firstborn, and I have done what you told me. Please sit up and eat the meat I have brought. Then you can give me your blessing."
Isaac asked,
"My son, how did you find an animal so quickly?"
The Lord your God was kind to me,"
Jacob answered.
"My son,"
Isaac said,
"come closer where I can touch you and find out if you really are Esau."
Jacob went closer. His father touched him and said,
"You sound like Jacob, but your hands feel hairy like Esau's."
And so Isaac blessed Jacob, thinking he was Esau. Isaac asked,
"Are you really my son Esau?"
"Yes, I am,"
Jacob answered. So Isaac told him,
"Serve me the wild meat, and I can give you my blessing."
Jacob gave him some meat, and he ate it. He also gave him some wine, and he drank it. Then Isaac said,
"Son, come over here and kiss me."
While Jacob was kissing him, Isaac caught the smell of his clothes and said,
"The smell of my son is like a field the Lord has blessed. God will bless you, my son, with dew from heaven and with fertile fields, rich with grain and grapes. Nations will be your servants and bow down to you. You will rule over your brothers, and they will kneel at your feet. Anyone who curses you will be cursed, Anyone who blesses you will be blessed.
Right after Isaac had given Jacob his blessing and Jacob had gone, Esau came back from hunting. He cooked the tasty food, brought it to his father, and said,
"Father, please sit up and eat the meat I've brought you, so you can give me your blessing."
"Who are you?"
Isaac asked.
"I am Esau, your firstborn son."
Isaac started trembling and said,
"Then who brought me some wild meat right before you came in? I ate it and gave him a blessing that cannot be taken back."
Esau cried loudly and begged,
"Father, give me a blessing too."
Isaac answered,
"Your brother tricked me and stole your blessing."
Esau replied,
"My brother deserves the name Jacob, because he has already cheated me twice. The first time he cheated me out of my rights as the firstborn son, and now he has cheated me out of my blessing."
Then Esau asked his father,
"Don't you still have any blessing left for me?"
"My son,"
Isaac answered,
"I have made Jacob the ruler over you and your brothers, and all of you will be his servants. I have also promised him all the grain and grapes that he needs. There's nothing left that I can do for you."
"Father,"
Esau asked,
"don't you have more than one blessing? You can surely give me a blessing too."
Then Esau started crying again. So his father said,
"Your home will be far from that fertile land where dew comes down from the heavens. You will live by the power of your sword and be your brother's slave. But when you decide to be free, you will break loose."
Esau hated his brother Jacob because he had stolen the blessing that was supposed to be his. So he said to himself,
"Just as soon as my father dies, I'll kill Jacob."
When Rebekah found out what Esau planned to do, she sent for Jacob and told him,
"Son, your brother Esau is just waiting for the time when he can kill you. Now listen carefully and do what I say. Go to the home of my brother Laban in Haran and stay with him for a while. When Esau stops being angry and forgets what you have done to him, I'll send for you to come home. Why should I lose both of my sons on the same day?"
Rebekah later told Isaac,
"Those Hittite wives of Esau are making my life miserable. If Jacob marries a Hittite woman, I'd be better off dead."
Genesis 28. Isaac called in Jacob, then gave him a blessing and said,
"Don't marry any of those Canaanite women. Go at once to your mother's father Bethuel in northern Syria, and choose a wife from one of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. I pray that God all-powerful will bless you with many descendants and let you become a great nation. May he bless you with the land he gave Abraham, so that you will take over this land where we now live as foreigners."
Isaac then sent Jacob to stay with Rebekah's brother Laban, the son of Bethuel the Aramean. Esau found out that his father Isaac had blessed Jacob and had warned him not to marry any of the Canaanite women. He also learned that Jacob had been sent to find a wife in northern Syria and that he had obeyed his father and mother. Esau already had several wives, but he realized at last how much his father hated the Canaanite women. So he married Ishmael's daughter Mahalath, who was the sister of Nebaioth and the granddaughter of Abraham. Jacob left the town of Beersheba and started out for Haran. At sunset he stopped for the night and went to sleep, resting his head on a large rock. In a dream, he saw a ladder that reached from earth to heaven, and God's angels were going up and down on it. The Lord was standing beside the ladder and said,
"I am the Lord God who was worshipped by Abraham and Isaac. I will give to you and your family the land on which you are now sleeping. Your descendants will spread over the earth in all directions and will become as numerous as the specks of dust. Your family will be a blessing to all people. Wherever you go, I will watch over you. Then later I will bring you back to this land. I won't leave you. I will do all I have promised."
Jacob woke up suddenly and thought,
"The Lord is in this place, and I didn't even know it."
Then Jacob became frightened and said,
"This is a fearsome place. It must be the house of God and the ladder to heaven."
When Jacob got up early the next morning, he took the rock that he had used for a pillow and stood it up for a place of worship. Then he poured olive oil on the rock to dedicate it to God, and he named the place Bethel. Before that, it had been named Luz. Jacob solemnly promised God,
"If you go with me and watch over me as I travel, and if you give me food and clothes and bring me safely home again, you will be my God. This rock will be your house, and I will give back to you 1/10 of everything you give me."
Genesis 29. As Jacob continued on his way to the east, he looked out in a field and saw a well where shepherds took their sheep for water. 3 flocks of sheep were lying around the well, which was covered with a large rock. Shepherds would roll the rock away when all their sheep had gathered there. Then, after the sheep had been watered, the shepherds would roll the rock back over the mouth of the well. Jacob asked the shepherds,
"Where are you from?"
"We're from Haran,"
they answered. Then he asked,
"Do you know Nahor's grandson, Laban?"
"Yes, we do."
They replied.
"How is he?"
Jacob asked.
"He's fine."
They answered.
"And here comes his daughter Rachel with the sheep."
Jacob told them,
"Look, the sun is still high up in the sky, and it's too early to bring in the rest of the flocks. Water your sheep and take them back to the pasture."
But they replied,
"We can't do that until they all get here and the rock has been rolled away from the well."
While Jacob was still talking with the men, his cousin Rachel came up with her father's sheep. When Jacob saw her and his uncle's sheep, he rolled the rock away and watered the sheep. He then kissed Rachel and started crying because he was so happy. He told her that he was the son of her aunt Rebekah, and she ran and told her father about him. As soon as Laban heard the news, he ran out to meet Jacob. He hugged and kissed him and brought him to his home, where Jacob told him everything that had happened. Laban said,
"You are my nephew, and you are like one of my own family."
After Jacob had been there for a month, Laban said to him,
"You shouldn't have to work without pay, just because you are a relative of mine. What do you want me to give you?"
Laban had 2 daughters. Leah was older than Rachel, but her eyes didn't sparkle, while Rachel was beautiful and had a good figure. Since Jacob was in love with Rachel, he answered,
"If you will let me marry Rachel, I'll work 7 years for you."
Laban replied,
"It's better for me to let you marry Rachel than for someone else to have her. So stay and work for me."
Jacob worked 7 years for Laban, but the time seemed like only a few days because he loved Rachel so much. Jacob said to Laban,
"The time is up, and I want to marry Rachel now."
So Laban gave a big feast and invited all their neighbors. But that evening, he brought Leah to Jacob, who married her and spent the night with her. Laban also gave Zilpah to Leah as her servant woman. The next morning, Jacob found out that he had married Leah, and he asked Laban,
"Why did you do this to me? Didn't I work to get Rachel? Why did you trick me?"
Laban replied,
"In our country, the older daughter must get married first. After you spend this week with Leah, you may also marry Rachel. But you will have to work for me another 7 years."
At the end of the week of celebration, Laban let Jacob marry Rachel, and he gave her his servant woman Bilhah. Jacob loved Rachel more than he did Leah, but he had to work another 7 years for Laban. The Lord knew that Jacob loved Rachel more than he did Leah, and so he gave children to Leah, but not to Rachel. Leah gave birth to a son and named him Reuben, because she said,
"The Lord has taken away my sorrow. Now my husband will love me more than he does Rachel."
She had a second son, and named him Simeon, because she said,
The Lord has heard that my husband doesn't love me.
When Leah's third son was born, she said,
Now my husband will hold me close.
So this son was named Levi. She had one more son and named him Judah, because she said,
I'll praise the Lord.
Genesis 30. Rachel was very jealous of Leah for having children, and she said to Jacob,
I'll die if you don't give me some children.
But Jacob became upset with Rachel and answered,
Don't blame me. I'm not God.
Here, take my servant Bilhah.
Rachel told him.
Have children by her, and I'll let them be born on my knees, to show that they are mine.
Then Rachel let Jacob marry Bilhah, and they had a son. Rachel named him Dan because she said,
God has answered my prayers. He has judged me and given me a son.
When Bilhah and Jacob had a second son, Rachel said,
I've struggled hard with my sister, and I've won.
So she named the boy Naphtali. When Leah realized she could not have any more children, she let Jacob marry her servant Zilpah, and they had a son.
I'm really lucky,
Leah said, and she named the boy Gad. When they had another son, Leah exclaimed,
I'm happy now, and all the women will say how happy I am.
So she named him Asher. During the time of the wheat harvest, Reuben found some love flowers and took them to his mother Leah. Rachel asked Leah for some of them, but Leah said,
It's bad enough that you stole my husband. Now you want my son's love flowers too.
All right,
Rachel answered.
Let me have the flowers, and you can sleep with Jacob tonight.
That evening, when Jacob came in from the fields, Leah told him,
You're sleeping with me tonight. I hired you with my son's love flowers.
They slept together that night, and God answered Leah's prayers by giving her a fifth son. Leah shouted,
God has rewarded me for letting Jacob marry my servant.
And she named the boy Issachar. When Leah had another son, she exclaimed,
God has given me a wonderful gift, and my husband will praise me for giving him 6 sons.
So she named the boy Zebulun. Later, Leah had a daughter and named her Dinah. Finally, God remembered Rachel. He answered her prayer by giving her a son.
God has taken away my disgrace.
She said,
I'll name the boy Joseph, and I'll pray that the Lord will give me another son.
After Joseph was born, Jacob said to Laban,
Release me from our agreement and let me return to my own country. You know how hard I've worked for you, so let me take my wives and children and leave.
But Laban told him,
If you really are my friend, stay on, and I'll pay whatever you ask. I'm sure the Lord has blessed me because of you.
Jacob answered,
You've seen how